sorry, but today I'm about to kill these pretzels. I just did a drive back from Virginia, and I've been thinking about this the whole ride. Considering I looked at my menstrual calendar and my cycle's coming, obviously, because I'm bodying these chips. As soon as I came home, I was like, I want these chips and hummus. So yeah, please hold. All right, so cleansing the space, allowing source to take over and give me an intuitive message, because that's how we do things around here. Windows is open. It's about to get crack-a-lagging. So today I really just wanted to talk about femininity and understanding divine feminine energy and understanding what it is to be a woman in 2020. In my previous episode, I discussed trauma and relationship woes and how I started to overcome them, and that was through journaling, meditation, yoga, a couple of other things, I am affirmations, just ways to help me raise my vibration in order for me to be one with myself. You often hear people say like how we are gods and we must act accordingly, and that is definitely true. And it took me a lot to understand who I was and where I was and how I was, and all of the above, as my girl would say. So it's like, I just really want to talk to you about how I raised my vibration and what I decided to do to help me get there. And a lot of it came with understanding who I was as a woman. And one of the first things that I decided to do was meditate, just being one with myself, because as a Libra, we're naturally overthinkers and we try to assess any and every obstacle before we move. And I also grew up that way, where we stepped back and assessed all avenues and aspects and all things possible to sit here and say, yes, it's wise for me to move, or no, it's wise for me to stay put, because sometimes it is required for us to stay put and other times it is required for us to proceed. But what was missing was the intuitive aspect on knowing when to act and tapping into that divine feminine energy and understanding what intuition was, because 9 times out of 10 women know that a woman's intuition is real. And but 9 times out of 10, it's because it's almost negative. Like, we operate from a negative intuitive move. Like, oh, my man is cheating, let me go run his phone. Oh, my man did this, let me go do that. You know what I mean? It's never from a positive standpoint, or at least it wasn't for me. And anytime that my female energy was tapping on the door, or my intuition, it was like 100% accurate 9 times out of 10. And what that allowed me to do was put my vagina on hold. Like, sis, you don't even want that type of energy in your body. So oftentimes I would shut my womb down, and rightfully so. I don't care if you are my man or not, but if I am not in tune with your energy and that that energy is negative, then I have absolutely 137,000% in times infinite, like, the right to say, I want to shut down my energy and my womb and my space, because everybody knows that sex is what they call sexual exchange. I just looked at 111, and it's like, you have to trust your intuition and know that exchange takes on all types of energy, whether if it's positive or negative. Like, I used to consider myself a head monster, and I'm like, yeah, you can go down all day, like, you know what I mean? Like, I enjoyed that energy, but in the same token, I wasn't even in tune with what was being said or done, you know, internally in that person's psyche. And that energy was being released to me, and it may have transpired and made me more negative, or whatever the case may be, because I was in such a low vibrational state. So add my negative and their negative, and then it's just a fucking hot mess, a messy mess. So it's like, you have to be cognizant of what it is that you're doing, because a lot of times we have to pay attention to what our intuition is also telling us. But we also have to now apply that same energy and that knowledge that we're seeking, and a knowledge of, you know, the synchronicities and the different signs that the universe has given us, and learn how to apply those things for also good. So, 222. So again, a lot of times I was in a space of trying to understand who I was, and also in a space of convincing myself that I am a divine feminine being, that I know who I am, that I am a woman of God, and that I am God herself, or a goddess, or, you know, whatever you want to put in that underline before your name. So it's like, embody that energy, that sacred divine feminine energy, because a woman with a womb, especially a Black woman with a womb, you are the force of all things, and you have to take care of your body. So going back to the whole point of meditation, I had to get my mind and my body aligned as one with spirit and my womb, to understand who I was with myself before I could even apply that energy or give that energy to somebody else. So it took a lot, you know, it took a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge inside of me. Like, I am not a Google freak. I'm just like a documentary freak. I'm a Google freak. I just love to learn. I'll read an encyclopedia. I'll just constantly look up things that come to my mind, just because I am curious for a reason. This information could be utilized and given to somebody at a, you know, greater time. So I have a lot of information inside of me, but one thing that I learned through meditation and these I am affirmations, and understanding who I am and what my womb is capable of without children, aside from giving it to someone else. You know, I had to understand who my womb was, and it took a lot of homework, and it took a lot of meditation, and just holding on my womb space and talking to it and understanding what she wanted, you know, as a creation of someone who creates life. And, you know, not having children, it's still something that is capable of creating in a different way, and being able to connect with her in a different light, you know, encouraged me to become this fucking great. So moving on. It started with, I went to Paris in May 2018, and one of the young ladies on the trip was telling us about a menstrual cup, and I didn't understand how people could use this, and I thought it was completely gross. And I was just like, there's no way that I'm gonna actually be all up in my vag and trying to understand why the fuck does this keep happening though. I've never had no problems before with this damn tripod and light. I don't even understand what's going on. But going back to the point, the fact is that I started using this menstrual cup, and in real life live, it was just something that helped me connect to my body in such a different way. And what started happening was I realized that my cost of feminine products started to increase. It started with maybe $10 a month, and then not only did the products themselves increase, but I started getting a lot more healthier. You know, I started eating different. I was pescatarian for 5 years, and then I transitioned to strictly vegetarian with my little splash of crab here and there. And then I transitioned to vegan July 2019. And in the midst of transitioning, you know, through those feminine toxic products, you know, Always and Kotex and those types of brands, you know, I never even really paid attention to the boxes or what it is. I just always knew that you shouldn't use scented products, and that was it. You know, don't put anything too strong in your vagina because it causes issues and this and that. So I definitely wanted to pay attention to what I was putting in my womb in any capacity. So I switched to like cotton products, and then Shorty mentioned this menstrual cup, which is actually right here. I use this menstrual cup, and this is the lighter one. There's two of them that I use, and it actually taught me a lot. You know, usually you kind of fold it and then you fold it and then you actually stick it up there. And depending, you know, on the size or the flow of yours, you know, this is the lighter one, then I have a darker purple one for like a heavier day, and it fills up, and then when it's time to take it out, you know, you squeeze it and you pour it. So it takes some real serious like intuitiveness and being one with your body and not being like skeeved out, because at first it was like, what the fuck is going on here? But that one little menstrual cup was about $14, and I bought it from Amazon. It's the Athena cup, and it's good for 10 years because it's medical grade silicone, and I haven't had any problems with it. You know, I still use a panty lighter, but again, I buy like cotton ones, non-scented, something from Whole Foods, I don't know, but I'll probably have that one box for several months, which is great. You know, it kind of just gives you peace of mind. I don't have any leaks or anything because I know what size to use during what days, and I completely love it. And it saved me about $25 a month. So I was really happy to know that. And that was one of the things that I was actively trying to do, was cut things down and figure out how to budget better and save more money. And that was the first thing I freaking thought about. So when she, you know, encouraged all of us to actually use it, I was really, really happy and grateful. And then the second thing that I started to do was actually go into research about how to heal my womb, because I started going through therapy last year, which I documented on my personal Instagram page at Queen Goddess Hope. And I was talking about different things in my therapy sessions, and one of the things was sexual assault and situations that happened to me as a kid, you know, where my, what's the word I want to use? Innocence, you know, was taken at a young age. And it's not to say that I was raped, but I feel like anytime somebody crosses a line where it's not something that you invite them to do, so is taking your innocence away. So I decided to pick up this book by Queen Afua. I got this in LA when I was at Shades of Africa, and it's called Overcoming an Angry Vagina. Now, in this book, it actually talked about so many different topics, and I skimmed around. I'm never a person to read a book front to back unless if it's something that I really, really desperately want to do. But one thing that I love that it talks about was the Victorian age and chastity belts and virginity, and understanding where that whole thing started. Then what they also talked about was fibroids and, you know, healing your womb and overcoming toxic behavior, meaning being like promiscuous. It talked about so many different things, and I really think it's a great book. And it was something that kind of touched me because there were so many situations that I was completely naive about, and it allowed me to educate myself a little deeper and appreciate my womb even more and appreciate who I was, even though my innocence was taken. My little sister said it yesterday, either you can be hypersexual or not at all. And I was one of those people who decided to hold that inside of me, you know, and cherish it a little bit more than the most, because, well, most that I know, I'll say that, than some, because I just valued that, and I did more studying, and I wanted to understand what it was to give up my body and what it meant to exchange, you know, energy with somebody in the bedroom, because you just don't want to do that with anybody. And don't get me wrong, my 20s was live and I had a great time, but for most of that time I was also in relationships, so it wasn't like I was out here being promiscuous all the time. You know, I was always in a steady relationship, because fucking look at me, Jesus. But I'm just saying, you know, it's like you can't really be single forever. But I learned so much in reading this book by Queen Afua, and just being one with my body and talking to my vag and taking a mirror and look it up underneath there and seeing the way things are. You know, a lot of people don't even realize what's going on down there. I can't even speak today. And it takes someone of great courage to understand what it means to actually do this. And I think it's really important for us to know and understand what our vaginas are trying to tell us, whether if it's, the scent, the color of discharge, it goes on so much further. I'm not a fucking doctor. Go talk to your doctor if that shit is a little off, or go on Google, and it's not providing any shade to anybody, but I'm just sharing my personal experience with my little menstrual cup and my tapping into my divine feminine energy. So another way that I decided to tap into my divine feminine energy, aside from reading about it and educating myself about my vag and using the menstrual cup, was also journaling, taking baths, and I have purchased sea salt baths and different herbs. I've done yoni steams. I've done so many different things in that course of a year, just learning and understanding who I was and loving myself more, that baths helped a lot. You don't even understand. It helps you balance your energy, and it helps balance your womb, especially these yoni steams. They're amazing. And I have some on my website that I get from Mama Mystic, and she has the most amazing salt bath mix. It's ridiculous. It smells phenomenal, and your skin comes out like on super duper soft. And just using essential oils really helps a lot. And just following your intuition, just when you are one with you, and when you understand who you are, when you understand what it is that your body is telling you at all times. And I'm gonna say this, being vegan also helps a lot, because you're never bloated. You kind of are balanced. Your energy is balanced. When you're vegan, you kind of pay attention more to what's going on internally as opposed to externally, because externally things almost look fine all the time. I've lost about 40-50 pounds just being vegan and intermittent fasting, understanding what I was putting in my body. I stopped reading 13 and 15 letter words and ingredients, and decided to keep that shit simple. Onion, garlic, parsley, like keeping the ingredients simple allowed me to slim down tremendously, because all these toxins and pesticides and sprays and injections that they're pumping all of these animals with really actually affects your body in such a way that you don't even realize it. So naturally, when I cut out meat products, I lost 10 pounds immediately, because my stomach just immediately went flat, which is crazy, because you're like, how does this even happen? But now you're not eating the steaks, you're not eating the beef, so that doesn't stay in your system as long. If you happen to eat a whole bunch of plant-based products, within 24 hours, that shit is not even in your system anymore. It's like a constant cleanse. And drinking the hot water and lemon every morning is also a constant cleanse. Sea moss pills, help me a lot. I'm like a big vitamin person, and I wanted something that was going to fuel me every single day without me possibly eating a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables if I was on the go, or if I'm working, whatever the case was. I wanted to be completely in tune with what I was putting in my body. And again, that goes for your vagina health. That stuff really makes a difference, because everybody knows when you eat pineapples, you smell like it. Everybody knows when you eat asparagus, you smell like it. There are different foods, and garlic, and different acidities, and all of this stuff plays a key role into your vagina health and even your overall health, and that's why it's really important to eat to live. And I used to be a person that ate 5 times a day. And it wasn't because I was a fat ass or I was greedy. I just knew that, you have to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours in order to maintain weight. And that's what I did for so many years. And that's why, if I did gain weight, I was able to maintain it for so long, because I was always eating balanced meals. Yeah, I'm eating a lot throughout the day, but I was still good, what I mean, health-wise. So I'm actually encouraging you to be cognizant of what it is that you're putting in your body. If one of your goals or your New Year's resolution, on January 1st or the 31st, whatever day you decide to make it, was to get healthier and be healthier, sometimes it's not even working out. I barely work out, and for the most part, I do yoga or stretch every single day, a couple of times a day. I just posted a video of like a intuitive routine that I did when I was out in Columbus, outside, and just kind of getting grounded. You really want to kind of allow your intuition to guide you throughout the day. You don't want to be so structured, to tap into that divine feminine energy. You want to allow the day to take you as it will. I'm such a planner. I love planners. I have tons of things in my calendar, and I have a physical calendar, and I use my iPhone calendar. But it's also important for me to go with the flow. And I did that all last summer, and I promise you, it was just freaking amazing. I was like, I want to move to New York, so I moved to New York. I was like, I want to move to Cali, so I moved to Cali. You know, I did whatever I wanted to do for an entire year, and that was probably the best thing I could have ever done. And that was my 33rd year, you know, here on this earth. And I promise you, I would never, ever regret those years. And right now, even living in the era of 34, it's like I'm learning so much more about myself and just benefiting from all of those things and all of the time that I put in and just learning who I am as a woman, you know. And I ended up writing this erotic poetry book. And the only thing that I did do was use my mind. And I didn't masturbate. I never had sex with my man or anyone for that matter. You know, I just wanted to truly tap into my divine feminine energy and understand how powerful she can be, how powerful your thoughts are, you know. And I think that book is so vulgar and free because it allowed me to do something that I couldn't even fathom, you know, 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. And sometimes, you know, when it came to being a woman, I probably wasn't as vocal or boisterous, you know, and now it's to the point where I'm free, you know, I'm able to wear whatever I feel like. And I have a couple of pictures with no bra on and people are having a whole fucking heart attack about it. And I'm like, why? Have you never fucking seen a nipple? Half of y'all been watching porn since I was like 3 with hot boxes in the hood. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, y'all definitely wilding out over some nipple action. Like, you never seen your girl's boobs before? Like, what? Anyway, but it's like, you know, I'm tapping into a different type of energy that I never even experienced before. And if it's coming at an expense of people unfriending me or block that bitch, you know, I don't care. It doesn't bother me because at the end of the day, I am being true to self. So if the overall message is to be true to self and understand who you are and overcoming an angry vagina and getting one with who you are and enjoying that femininity aspect, you know, a lot of times we're sitting here in this 2020 realm where, yeah, I still believe it's the year, it's the decade of the female, but it's also a decade of the males. You know, they're also doing it and killing it and coming out and stepping out and being these entrepreneur spirits that we are. But what we must know is that we really can't separate. You know, it's really important for us to remain together. I was listening to the Hood Mystic this morning on his live, and that was also something that he pointed out as well. Like, we cannot be separated in this time. We have to continue to be together, especially when it comes to man and wife. You know, you can be under the same roof. You could have 2 separate agendas, but at the end of the day, this is for us. You know, this is our legacy. This is our life. And as a single woman here today, right now in this 2020 arena, I am still building for me and my husband's generational wealth, because at the end of the day, I want to be able to come to the table and say, hey, this is what I want. Yes, I want to be a fucking stay-at-home mom, but here are my businesses, and this is why I want to be a stay-at-home mom. You know what I mean? Like, this is already set and grounded. So it's important for us to constantly get going. It's important for us to heal ourselves, even if we came from bad breakups, because I definitely did. And I'm not even, you know, proud of that. But at the end of the day, I have to do what I have to do to get to the next point and to get to the point of action where I'm no longer allowing this energy to fuck me up. You know what I mean? I have to continue to move forward. I have to continue to heal myself, heal my body, heal my womb, cleanse it. You know, full moon is coming up. I used to always take spiritual baths. That's the whole point of bath and how it started, you know, the bath salts. And I used to do a lot of like fresh lemon and flowers and rose water. I did so many different things, crystals. I did essential oils. I would put herbs in my water, like whatever it was. I would speak life into my water constantly. Never watch the water go down the drain, because whatever I spoke in it and whatever I cleansed my body of, I don't even want to see it. I don't even want to resonate with that energy anymore. That is a cut cord, or that is something that I now want to manifest. I no longer need to see it because the universe has my back. That's trusting that my creative source has my back at all times. You understand? So you got to get to a point where we're no longer allowing us to fuel our future. You know, we're allowing the universe to take us to another dimension, to another realm. We're trusting that it's going to allow us to be somebody that we aren't today. You know, I never want to remain the same. People always talk about, oh, how you leave the hood and you never come back. I don't want to go back. You know, the only way I want to go back is if I'm helping the community elevate. I don't want to go there and be chilling on the block. You know, I don't want to stay in that negative energy, because the hood does have negative energy. It's a whole different energy that it embodies. A lot of these hoods are so dark, you know, and it just looks dark. I was driving past my old hood recently and I was just like, yo, the energy here is ridiculous. Just even driving in the car, it's like, fuck, roll the windows up. Not because I'm scared of who's on the outside, just because I don't even want that energy in my car. Like, that shit gonna come through the window. Like, you know what I mean? So if the energy could come through the window just off GP, you best to believe that if you're allowing somebody negative to come into your womb, that shit is definitely taking over your spirit. Do you know how long it takes for you to ward negative energy off of you? Somebody just said in my DMs the other day that he hasn't been with his significant other for like 6 years and he's still not over that relationship. I'm like, sir, you there? I said, I don't mean no disrespect. I don't know you from the can of paint, but you got to move on. Sister's living her life. Best believe she already bounced on to the next dick. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, yeah, I saw your YouTube and, you know, you went through a hard... Yeah, but, bruh, this shit ain't even 6 months. Like, it's 2 months. This is the 3rd month and I am good. You understand? Like, you just have to move on. Yeah, it's okay to dwell in that energy, but you have to feel those emotions. You know, as women, we are intuitive. We are emotional creatures, as they say. You understand? Like, it's okay to feel your emotions. It's okay to understand that trauma, but it's also okay to live in that. And then when it's time to move on, just move on, sis. Like, we cannot remain in that stagnant energy. For men too, if you're still fucking listening after all the vag and stuff, I just want to put this up one more time because you probably got disgusted, but that's cool. But it's just like, you can't remain in that energy either. We have to get to a point now where we're progressing, because guess what? The spring equinox is approaching and I just want to move on, and that's my new year. You know, I'm about to sit down and figure out what I want to add to my vision board, because it is something that I have to focus on. I am never going to stay in negative energy way too long. You have to understand that it is also Friday the 13th approaching this time this month. Do you know what that means as a woman? That is probably one of the most powerful days to manifest anything you want. The last time it was Friday the 13th, it was December, and I got 2 new business contracts on that day. 2 new ones because I declared that I would. And ironically enough, it was around a full moon. And that was ironically around the same time that I decided to remove myself from a negative relationship, because I said, yo, there's no fucking way I'm gonna go into the full moon with this same negative energy around my life. When I felt that I was probably gonna go back into therapy again, I was like, oh no. Sis, you worked hard to get where you are. Why would you want to remain and get into that negative phase again? Like, fuck no. You have to protect you at all times. I am always going to do what I feel is best for me and my energy, because I am my only competition. My finger, this is the ring finger. That shit is bare as fuck. And I don't even believe in Western marriage any longer. But the fact that that shit is bare and my last name is still the same that I was born with, I am always going to do what's right for me first. And even if your last name was changed, you still need to do what's right for you first. I don't care. We're not about this trauma life anymore. And if your significant other does not understand that change comes with change, and we can both change together and grow together, because that's the whole fucking point of being one. Remember when I opened up the last post or episode 2 about how when you are one and then you separate, you are still one with that person, because that was a covenant that you created with God under God. Protect who you are at all times. All right, I'm done. I'm gonna finish eating my chips. Bye.